Hello friends, welcome back to our session. We try to understand the approaching methods for your quantitative aptitude and then data interpretation, right? And it's a time for us right now to get into topics, how different topics of quantitative aptitude and then data interpretation will work. Okay, and whatever we'll be covering, this is considering all law. Then you're talking about IPM, CUET, BBA, BBM, including SCAT kind of exams here. Okay, stay tuned. And then I'm sharing my screen. So you all know that as far as quantitative aptitude is concerned, at a majority of these exams, the level of difficulty they will be testing is up to 10th standard. Unless until you are talking about IPM higher math questions, the questions are up to 10th standard only. They are very basic questions. In a competitive exam, the first skill that you need to cultivate, as we were discussing the other day, their intention is testing your logic. Their intention is not testing your math. So if you understand, we have something called a verbal ability. You have something called reasoning. You have something called a quantitative aptitude. See, when I would like to pursue my career in legal studies, I would like to be a litigator, I would like to work in a corporate firm, a law firm here. Why are they testing my quantitative aptitude? These bigger questions are there for you. Please understand, their intent is not testing your math, their intent is testing your logic through your math. If you are talking about reasoning, which you describe it as analytical reasoning, logical reasoning kind of stuff, your job is identifying the core logic behind the question. You need to have good analytical skills. Based on the analysis you are making, you must be able to arrive at a right decision making as well. That's why they test your reasoning. As you're talking about when you have to work in a corporate sector, when you have to work due to this globalization, we all have one common language, that is English. They are not expecting you to use high-end vocabulary words like UPTCOR and flabbergasted kind of words. It's a very basic vocabulary. You need to have a decent vocabulary. You need to have good reading skills as well. That's what the overall expectation of any examiner, right? So we try to understand how do we approach for quantitative aptitude. Today we are trying to understand like a few of the topics, like how we can go about. Okay, so quant may, what type of questions I am getting in quant, that's important. Whole quantitative aptitude section I am getting in these exams, I'll divide into the core math, and we are talking about the other one is the arithmetic area. Percentages, it's an arithmetic topic. Ratio, proportions, and variations. We call it as RPV. It's an arithmetic topic. It's an arithmetic topic. Averages. It's an arithmetic topic. Mixtures and allegations. Time, speed, and distance. Time and work. Simple interest and then compound interest. Okay. And you're talking about the topic of numbers. They're all related to arithmetic. Whereas if you see a permutation combination probability, a topic like a geometry, a topic like you're talking about series, a topic like you're talking about progressions, functions, they're all the core math. So if you see largely, these areas are tested in IPM kind of exams. Whereas if you take a law kind of exam, it's mostly the arithmetic part. The core math is generally less here, right? So how do we prepare? As I keep telling every time, we already have launched around 3-4 videos here. You guys would have seen that. Every time I keep telling, ensure that your basics are strong. People keep asking me, sir, tomorrow I have to go for exam. Will you give me some formulas? Do you think there are some 10, 15 questions we are getting in these competitive exams which are purely on the basis of formula? No, absolutely any. You don't have any question coming on the basis of formula here. You all are expected to show that logic inside the exam. You hardly find a question where directly you put the numbers in the formula and you get the outcome here. You hardly find that kind of question. And in fact, the day on which you worked on a formula in a competitive exam, we are dead on the same day. We are not there in the competitive market anymore, which is highly important here. So please ensure that you don't use formulas, rather you apply your logic to solve the questions. Okay? Today we will try to understand the topic of percentages. What exactly the percentage? Let me understand. I have two students A and B. In an exam, A got 80 marks. In a different exam, B got 120 marks. Now I need a relative comparison between A and B. Who is a better student? Shall I say that B is a better student because he is getting 120 marks? Absolutely no. For a simple reason, I just gave you, there are two students A and B, they got 80 marks and then 120 marks. But I never gave you for how many marks the exam has been conducted. There is no wonder the exam of A is conducted for 100 marks. There is no wonder exam of B is conducted for 200 marks. If that be the case, for B, for 200 he got 120, then for 100 he would have got 60 marks. Then if I compare relatively A and B, A is the better student. So who is a better student? It all depends on the number of marks for which the exam is conducted. Got it? It all depends on the number of marks for which the exam is conducted here. So now you see, my friends, idea is very simple. Percentage, the word itself says that percent, that is per 100. Here the comparison talks about only on the basis of 100. So if I give you a data, there are two students X and Y. In one exam, X got 60 percentage. In another exam, Y has got 80 percentage. You don't have to ask me a question, sir, for how many marks the exam is conducted. Irrespective of any number of marks the exam is conducted, the person X for every 100 he is getting 60 marks. The person Y for every 100 he is getting 80 marks. So Y is a better student. Y is a better student because the comparison is given on the basis of 100. This is the core logic we are solving the questions, right? This is the core logic in which we are solving the questions here. Let me explain you. At an engineering college, we have a ECE, we have a CSC, you have IT, you have triple E, let's say branches. It will not happen. I'm just giving you an example, okay? Assume EC total score is 500, CSC total score is 600, IT total score is 700, triple E total score is 800. Now, department topper of ECE has got 490 marks, 550 marks, 600 marks, 700 marks at triple E. Now they gave department topper awards, which is okay. Now the engineering college management, they would like to give a college topper award. Shall I give the college topper award to a triple E student because his score is 700? Absolutely no. You all know the reason very well. He is getting 700 because his base is bigger, 800. That's the simple reason he is getting 700. So I cannot take the 700 as a score. I also have to understand the base for which he is writing the exam, right? Now I'll change up my strategy in this way. For ECE, this gentleman for every 500 getting 490, then for every 100 he is getting how many? My answer will be 100 by 500 into 490. My value will be 9 5 are 45 8. So he is getting for every 198. Similarly, I will go for CSC student. In case of CSC, what is happening? For 600, this gentleman is getting 550. Then for 100, he is getting how much? So I will say this is 100 by 600 into 550. If I simplify the expression, 9 6 are 54, 10 one time, then you are talking about another, let's say 40, you are talking about another 6 times, around 91.6 percentage. So looking at these things, I can prove that the candidate A in the ECE department, he is getting a 98% score. The candidate CSC department, he is getting a 91.6. At this point in time, the ECE student is the better student. Similarly, I will be finding scores for every 100 marks at other departments as well. Whoever is getting the highest score for 100, he is the winner of the college topper award. What is the process I followed? I made everywhere your base as 100. That's the meaning of percentage. That's the meaning of percentage. Now you got a fair idea what is percentage? Absolutely. Now I'll take you to the next step. Now in the topic of percentages, what are the next course of action for us? Generally, you will be having a lot of questions on a comparison. What kind of comparison we are talking about? There will be questions like by how much percent the number 12 is more than 8. When I compared with 8, my 12 is 4 more. When I compare with 12, okay, when I compared with the percentage 100, this is how much more. Let me compare again. By how much percentage 12 is more than 8? My question is, when I compared with 8, it is 4 more. But percentage is a comparison with 100, then it is how much more? My answer will be 100 by 8 into 4. I will simplify the expression. I will say this is 50% because I am doing it for 100. Similarly, there is a question, by how much percentage 36 less than 48? Now I will put it this way. If I am comparing with 48, it is 12 less. If I am comparing with 100, this is how much less? The value will be 100 by 48 into 12. If I simplify the expression, the value will be 25%. My friends, by now you would have got a fair idea. Henceforth, for every question, you don't have to work hard. Let's make this simple rule here. By how much percentage the number 12 is more than 8? That is your question, right? By how much percentage the number 12 is more than 8? Than 8, you are comparing with 8. 12 is how much more? 4. That's why 4 by 8 into 100. You don't go for comparison with 100. By how much percentage? 36 less than 48. 12 less than what? 48. Percentage is into 100. So this is 4 times, it is 25%. So next time onward, you just compare as to with which number you are going. For example, tomorrow I have a question. By how much percentage? 48 less than 60. 12 less than 60 into 100. If I simplify, my answer is going to be 20%. If there is a question, by how much percentage 90 more than 72, 18 more than 72 percentage is into 100. 4 times I will say 25% is the answer. This is how you actually compare the things. This is how you actually compare the things. Got it? Go for the next one. For example, you will be having a couple of questions like what percent of 80 is 60. The question is given like what percent of 80 is 60. That is in 80, 60 forms how much percentage? The value will be 60 by 80 into 100. 320s, 420s, 25. 325 are 75%. Similarly, if there is a question, what percent of 120 is 180? You mean to say in 120, 180 forms how much percentage? This is 3 by 2 into 100, which is 50. 350s are 150%. So I mean to say it is a 150% here. When I discuss this kind of questions, a lot of students they come back to me and then they ask me, sir, I'm little confused. Which number do I have to take in the denominator? Do not work hard. Logic is very simple. Whatever the number after OF off is there, that number comes to the denominator. What percent of 80 is 60? Denominator में 80 आना चाहिए. What percent of 120? Denominator में 120 आना चाहिए. Got it clear? Why are we learning the topic? Tomorrow, you guys have to solve data interpretation question. The sales of company A in 1995 is what percent of sales of B in 1996 here. This is a kind of comparison. What you will be doing? You will be applying the same percentages. You are applying the same concept of percentages. That's why we need to be very strong as a percentage topic is concerned. Is it okay? So this percentage topic we will do in a lot of videos. This is a part 1. Today we have discussed part 1. In the next video, we will release part 2 as well. Till then, stay tuned. Wish you all the very best. And for as I discussed, I am Krishna. For any kind of queries, you always reach me on this number 9703555635. Thank you.